So here on Now We Adventure, we've done a lot of distance, but we haven't done that much elevation.
Come with us on a mountain adventure next on Now We Adventure. Welcome everybody to Now We Adventure. We're here at Mount Wachusett Mountain in Princeton, Massachusetts. We're about to go up. It's just a 2,000-foot mountain. What could go wrong? Come with us, will you? We're going to have a fun mountain adventure.
So yeah, because it's a mountain, we're going uphill.
So this is late October, but it hasn't closed yet. The mountain does close on the last weekend in October. We are on Mount Wachusett in Princeton, Mass. What is that lake behind us?
Wachusett Lake.
Wachusett Lake.
Fittingly. And yeah, I mean, we're not even at the peak yet, but I think we can see practically all the way to Groton and Lowell. I'm excited to see what we can find at the top, and I'm excited to see how the bikes perform on the way up.
Yeah. So I want to talk about riding a bike up a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
If these were regular bikes, I think forget it unless you are well trained. But for e-bikes, it is completely doable. Both of our bikes are 750 watts, if that gives you some idea. So if you have a very low watt e-bike, you might have a lot more trouble than we had.
Yes. Now, Zach was using a lot of throttle on his bike. I was terrified that I was going to blow a fuse on my e-bike.
I'm pedaling.
Yeah, and then you're also using your throttle. So, I mean, earlier that month, we had done a test of a e-trike, and let's just say we were not using it in the intended purpose. And we went up a hill with me riding in the back and Zach riding in the front, and we burnt out the fuse, and it was a huge hassle to have to fix. So I was worried about that the whole time, that my fuse would blow, and I'd have to basically... it's not the end of the world because you just coast back down the mountain.
So how far up are we? Like halfway?
No, we're pretty close to the top.
Are we?
I think so.
It didn't feel that long.
You didn't feel that? Well, kind of did. That's a lot of...
I gotta admit, I was using a little throttle.
Okay, I wasn't. And I mean, the torque was definitely kicking in and giving me some power, but it's definitely the heaviest biking I've done since getting e-bikes.
Yeah, definitely put it into low gear, but lots of nice places to stop. We could have stopped a bunch of other places before here, so this is nice. And a really beautiful view today. We've got a really long way that we can see out to the west. And so, yeah, a lot of it has to do with speed. We were going pretty fast. I don't know why. We should have slowed down and relaxed and enjoyed it, but we were just like 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you just slow it down a bit, it's super easy.
Yep, and you can see that we made it to the top pretty darn quickly, actually. And it was a nice view from the top.
Jesse, are you into parkour?
Why?
Because I feel like we could just get to the very top of Mount Wachusett. So we're only 2,006 feet up, but we have a beautiful view. And I don't know if you zoom in there, Max, all the way, you might be able to see Boston behind us.
Yeah, I mean, this 2,000 feet goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least 40 miles to Boston.
Yeah.
Must be 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to look at a map, but I mean, that's pretty far. You usually don't get to see that far.
No, we have a nice clear enough day to do it.
Yeah, it's really turned out really well. You really don't realize how big the horizon is once you go up 2,000 feet.
So we're kind of at the end of the season, by the way, so it's going to close soon, I think the end of the month, to cars, but you can still hike for quite a while.
And you can still bike for quite a while. Basically, just park at the bottom of the road, and you won't even have to worry about cars and motorcycles coming through.
Yeah, we paid $5 for parking. I don't know, off season, I think it's probably open, but
right.
So that's not bad. And this was a really quick ride. What is it, 2.5 miles?
2.5 miles. It was not easy riding. You're going up a mountain.
Well, but you can take your own speed. I mean, it wasn't hard. With an e-bike, it wasn't hard.
It was pretty hard. You were throttling, so that...
No. I did a little bit of throttling, but honestly, if I just slowed down, I mean, it's not hard.
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. You know, go find the steepest hill in your neighborhood and do that for, back to back to back to back.
But I think it's going to be fun going the other way.
That's true.
As long as
our
the
brakes work, yeah.
And we should talk a bit about regen braking. None of the bikes that we have right now have regen braking. But if you do, this would be a great mount for that because you'd be getting a little power on the way back down.
Yeah. The one thing to keep in mind if you are taking an e-bike is if you are going to throttle up the whole way, just make sure that you don't burn out any of the fuses, and check your battery pack and check your bike to see if there's any... If your pack is fused, a lot of times the fuse will be inside the pack and it'll be impossible for you to change it on the
That's a really good point. Don't throttle for too long because you're going to be just heating that right up.
Great.
So the Wachusett Mountain State Reservation is 3,000 acres.
It opens on the first Memorial weekend, and it stays open till the last weekend in October, and parking is $5 for Massachusetts residents. And non-residents is $20. So if you can borrow a friend's car who lives in Massachusetts, I would do that.
There are some other places to park around. We just went for kind of the easy thing. We wanted to make sure that this was doable. There's lots of trails. There's lots of hiking that you can do. This mountain is also open in the winter for skiing.
Yeah.
I have skied down this mountain before. Basically, their parking is free in the perimeter parking lots that are outside of the park. So I think
that would be good for e-biking too.
Yeah.
I think another thing that would be fun to do that we didn't do would be to bring a picnic. We actually ended up going out for lunch at a brewery, somewhere down the hill, but having a picnic on the top here would be beautiful.
And so, yeah, it was time for us to head back down the mountain. So we did a little bit of exploring at the top of the mountain. There wasn't too much to see, unfortunately. And then we started our descent. And I think that this was a great little physics experiment. There's this idea of potential energy. And so a bike and a guy at the top of the mountain has a lot of potential energy. And you need to burn that all off in heat. And where are you going to do that? Your brakes. And you can see the speed go way up because we don't have to put in any energy. You could drive a normal bike to the top and then coast down. And I was adamant that we stop because I was afraid our brakes would catch on fire.
You're probably smart.
I knew that I wanted to do a lot more biking, and I didn't want to wear out the brakes entirely.
Because you do have to keep applying them as you go down, or else you will go too fast.
Yes, and I think that I definitely got above 30 miles an hour.
Me too, yeah.
So Jesse, something we should talk about since we're on the downward leg of the trip are the brakes. And I just want to, you can't tell this because you're at home, but hang on, that is hot. Did you get it?
Yeah, no, but it definitely evaporated immediately.
Yeah, so we're about halfway down, maybe 3/4 of the way down. We stopped because we want to let the brakes cool off a little bit.
Good to do in your car, too, unless you have regen braking as well.
Right, you'll notice a lot of cars have to do it.
And you'll smell a lot of cars doing it, which obviously the camera isn't going to pick up.
But let's walk over to the view and just talk about what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
What's nice is that there are a lot of little pull-offs, so you can stop, catch your breath, have something to eat, and look at the view from many different angles. Jesse, you've been here a couple times, and you said you've never seen Boston before, like we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to the summit a few times. I think it's been more summery, a little bit more hazy, so it's nice to come out in fall. You get all the foliage, and you also get the nice views because the air has kind of cleared up a little bit because the temperatures dropped. So that was a huge plus coming today. But I would definitely bring a picnic. I think that is just what this was kind of missing was, a couple of sandwiches, nothing too fancy, something you could throw in a backpack or a saddlebag and some water. And, just kind of either at the top of the mountain or at one of these down here while you wait for your brakes to cool down.
And the other just like hack here, I think, is to do it off season. When you're here in the summer, it does get kind of crowded, especially in the weekends. But if you're off season, spring or fall, like you're seeing right now, it's very, very quiet.
Yeah, and I think that even winter might be an option if it hasn't snowed yet. Obviously, you're not going to be able to drive your car up here, but that makes it all the more merrier to ride your bike.
Yeah.
The brakes. This is going to be a good excuse for us to replace brake pads later.
Yeah, mine are very squeaky, so I was looking for that excuse anyway, and we might cover this on Now Let's Review of like how to get rid of squeaky brake pads because mine have just squeaked the whole time I've owned the Event.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They cooled down.
They did it?
Yeah.
Go back.
Another hack I would have is that I love having some gloves and a balaclava with me in case it's cold. And so if you're going up a mountain, even though it's warm at the bottom, it might be cold at the top. So bringing along stuff like that could be nice.
And for any bike trip, I think that's good. And oh, look, the trip's over. Nice short one this week.
And it shows you that, not every trip has to be a, 40-mile affair. It can just be, this was like 5 miles.
Yeah, 5 miles total distance, a lot more elevation total than we're used to.
And I think this goes to prove that e-bikes are better in many ways than people give them credit for because you actually get out there and do things that you wouldn't have done. I would not have gone up a mountain on a regular bike.
And you might be saying, well, Zach, you should just bulk up and exercise every day. Look, I am never going to do that. I am never going to be the guy who is the super biker. I would never do it, which means that, I'm going to go my whole life without being able to bike up a mountain or being able to do some of these other trips that we've done. E-bikes rock. They make life so much better. I hope that, you're seeing some of these clips of some of our other trips, and that is sort of inspiring you. I hope that this trip has inspired you. If you want to just take a minute, scroll through our channel, check out some of our other trips. We don't fill this channel with anything other than pretty fun trips that we've done. This is the shortest, by the way.
And don't forget to comment down below and let us know if you've got some trips that you want us to take or some hacks or ideas. Like, that's where the community gets involved. So please use our comments.
Yeah, this whole thing has been so much fun. We've been evolving it as we're going along. I'm not just relying on, green lines on Google Maps anymore. We found trailspotting.com. There's lots of great resources for finding fun biking activities because, once you get an e-bike, it's going to change your life. I'm telling you. I'm so excited that we were able to bring this to you. We'll see you next time on Now We Adventure.